Saban and Jimbo Fisher in the octagon. Who wins?
Gloves off?
Gloves off.
Come on. Guys, y'all know what's happened. Nick Saban is going to take this man, drag him around the octagon,
I think
beat him thoroughly, and then brand him with a hashtag Roll Tide.
I think Jimbo's got that old school country, I'm going to beat you up. That country strong, daddy
He does have
strength.
youth on his side.
He does have youth, but I will never, ever bet against Nick
just don't do
in a
it.
single-handed fist fight between him and Jimbo Fisher. I'm
Saban?
going
Yeah.
Jimbo.
Drag him around.
Yeah, Nick Saban's got
Break
that
off
little
his arm.
dictatorship stuff going for him.
Yeah, but they don't like it when it's just them and
he's
somebody
different,
else.
Man. He's
I got kind of
he's from the country. He's from that.
I got a
the same
Robert
kind of place
Pattinson.
Jimbo is.
They're both from
one
West
gas
Virginia.
station, one gas station type of town.
Is it possible they just both fight to the death and they both just they killed each other?
Just like if the Diaz brothers fought each other, it's like, well, they're both dead. Somehow
This
there's
is the definition of the Spider-Man gif when two guys are just pointing at each other in the same person.
If they fought to the death and they both died, Saban would pop back up after and say, I won, and then die.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Nick Saban continues to sound off on NIL payments. This time, Jimbo Fisher hits back hard. Danny Kanell of CBS Sports and Billy Liucci from Tex Ags are both going to join us to help us navigate through the madness of college football right now. I'm Jake Crain, and welcome to the greatest sports show ever invented, Crain and Company. Today is a day that will live in infamy in the college football world after Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher's feud just escalated to an all-out verbal war over NIL. To make a long story short, recently Saban basically said that A&M bought their freshly minted #1 recruiting class instead of earning it, and how NIL is so bad for college football. And on some of these points, Saban's absolutely correct. But there's one big problem with how he's rolling this out. He's being unbelievably hypocritical. I know he came out early on NIL saying it wasn't great for the game, but then you turn right around and announce to the world how your quarterback, Bryce Young, is going to make $1 million in college, which is a huge recruiting tool. Alabama's using NIL just as much as A&M and other teams. So all this talk now comes down to being pretty hypocritical. And Jimbo Fisher clapped back this morning at a press conference saying Saban is the one who's really always been dirty, and that's why he's considered the godfather of college football. They say go dig up his past and you'll find out how he got here. He even went so far as to say Saban should have been slapped as a kid for acting like this. Look, Fisher and Saban have a long relationship, and it's been mostly friendly, but now it's anything but that. But I believe this has become so personal that even the king of not giving out rat poison, Nick Saban himself, just unloaded a dump truck's worth of it all over today. Remember, Jimbo was the first of Nick Saban's former assistants to beat him after saying before the season that A&M was going to, quote, kick Saban's ass while he was still at Bama. And then they did it on the field in 2021. But to me, the last straw was Jimbo beating Saban at what many consider Nick being the best in the world at, recruiting. Now, is Saban totally off base by saying NIL was a huge part of A&M's recruiting success? No, he isn't. But that's not the only reason. And Saban is well known for bending the rules way before NIL as much as any other coach has ever done it, which Jimbo alluded to in his earlier mentioned press conference. The truth is, guys, everybody cheated before NIL, and most will find a way to bend the rules even with NIL now. It's part of the game. It will always be part of the game. Some people are just better at it than others. All in all, this was a huge day, not only for these two teams, but for college football as a whole. And October 8th, when A&M goes to Tuscaloosa, may be the craziest atmosphere we've seen since we got the results back from Jupiter's. And I am totally here for it. And Danny Kanell from CBS Sports and Billy Liucci are going to join us today to talk about it as well. Well, guys, Jimbo Fisher woke up this morning and chose violence.
He did.
But I'll say this. I feel like this is so personal. It's on such a personal level that Nick Saban did the thing he tells his players not to do and the whole organization not to do. Don't give anybody else bulletin board material. It seems to me that Jimbo really hit a nerve. Because it's one thing for me to say I'm going to beat you at what you're best at. What you're best at, what people consider you the best ever at in college, which I think Nick Saban is, Jimbo said, we are going to beat you here at this spot next year. And they did it. You can say they didn't get their ass kicked, which they really didn't. They just lost the game, but you still lost. And then you add that with Jimbo being the first former assistant, which is like letting your kid beat you in basketball in the front yard to beat him. Kirby was the second in the Natty. And then you beat him in recruiting. It's gotten so personal and so childish that we have coaches saying other coaches should have been slapped as kids. But you know what? I cannot wait to talk to Danny and Billy about this. This is unbelievable. And college football, it's here, baby. And you know how we do things on this show. We talk a lot of foosball. And we've been talking NBA and NHL and all this stuff. We'll continue to do it. We're a national sports show. But deep down, you know what the fastball is when we step up to the plate.
Now, I wrote some things down because I want to be as precise as possible here with my speech. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I haven't worked at these universities or worked for these coaches. I don't know who's doing what. But to me, Nick Saban is the greatest football coach of all time. I think that he has earned that, and he has built the greatest dynasty we've seen in the sport at Alabama. He notoriously hates distractions, like what you were talking about. And most importantly, he has the ear of the powers that be at the highest level. Usually when you see people come out and say things publicly, it's because they're trying to get some momentum behind them. Nick Saban can make 3 calls and talk to the 3 most important people in the country. So that's what's surprising for me to see him time and time again here come out and talk about his frustrations with this. And there is a seeming some hypocrisy here when he was bragging about Bryce Young's NIL deal when we were at SEC Media Days. So my thing is, you better be clean. You better be clean, because he's come out and said, like, if Nick Saban was paying players at Alabama before NIL deals,
which they were,
if that was the case, and now it's legal, you've come out and you've said, this guy's doing that and we've never done it, you have to be clean.
And you see players, Blaine, from all over the country that got recruited by Alabama. You offered me 60. And look, Alabama's not the only one.
Everyone does
it. Now, some head coaches say, you know what? Do it, but don't tell me about it. Plausible deniability. That's how it happens. But every school, regardless of what school you go for, and I'm not going to talk about individual schools, what coaches do, but I am telling you, it may not be giving kids $100,000. It may not be giving kids cars, but it's getting kids' parents jobs. There's a lot more ways to cheat than just giving kids money. And if you don't think that your school is cheating, that I have some great beachfront property in Kalamazoo that I can sell you for the low. Everybody does it. Some are just better at it. It's like back in the day, before they had all the security and all this stuff at banks, John Dillinger and them, a lot of people would rob banks. Only the best ones would get away with it for the longest.
Look, this stuff goes down to high school. This stuff goes down to middle
school. It's everywhere.
I had kids off my middle school teams get pulled to go to a certain high school, and they gave their mom and their dad a job and a house.
Exactly right.
Football matters that much. This is what worries me the most about this from Nick Saban. Nick Saban has been swimming in these waters for a long time. And he's been the biggest fish, and he's known how to move in these waters, say the right things at the right time. We've never heard something like this from Nick Saban. Now, is he wrong in saying this? No, he's not. A&M, you did buy these guys, all right? You look at A&M's past 5 recruiting classes. In 2018, no 5 stars. 19, 2 5-stars. 20, 2 5-stars. 21, 1 5-star. 2022, you signed 7 5-stars.
You did the thing off NCAA 14 where you offered them twice. Then re-offer
them. But the thing about it is, like, there's nothing wrong with this. This is legal. You can do this. You're not. And Jimbo, miss me with you don't know what's in the collective. You know how much money's in there, and that's okay. These are 2 guys who have been dirty the entire time and are just ratting on each other. But it'll never, I promise you, no matter how much or how bad it gets, they will never show you where the bodies are.
No, never.
Never ever give away the secret sauce on either of them. And that's fine. A&M, y'all did beat them. But I still watch Bama win the SEC championship, then go lose the national championship. And Nick Saban's still 4-1 against Jimbo. I think Jimbo overreacted more to what Saban said than he should have.
See, I don't. I think he stood up to him. But I want to get Danny Kanell of CBS Sports HQ, Cover 3 podcast, Sirius XM, Just walk outside and look up. You'll see him. Danny, we appreciate you coming on, man. We picked a hell of a day to do it, didn't we?
You could not have picked a better day, Jake. It's great to be on, man. I'm fired up. It's been a wild 24 hours. And what better day to do it? I don't know if you guys knew this. 100 days out to the dot of when we're starting college football. It's almost like maybe somebody knew it, the football gods or somebody.
You mean like at SEC Media Day last year when they said Texas and Oklahoma are coming to the SEC?
Yep, one of those bombshell days. And I love the conversation you guys have, and I think you guys bring up some outstanding points. And here's the thing, because I think all you guys make really good points. Why are they airing this out publicly? Because this is the first time the SEC specifically has had an unwritten rule for the last 2 decades. Really, when Florida was put on probation, they realized, you know what? If we're telling on each other, it's not really good for the conference. What good does it do if some of our schools get in trouble? So they're like, everybody knows what's going on. We're just going to keep it in-house. We're not going to air it out publicly. And it's worked to perfection. I mean, they're the strongest conference in college football. But now with NIL, when things are, I guess, legal by state law, everyone's airing out their dirty laundry. And it's awesome. And I don't know. I think it was Blaine. I think you said that, there's no way this will come out. I wouldn't be so sure, man, because they've both opened the door. They put a massive bullseye on their back by proclaiming their innocence. Yeah. Well, I've never bought a player. Watch out. You go ahead. They put a bullseye on your back.
Danny, here's my thing. To me, I think this is legitimately 100% personal between Jimbo Fisher and Nick Saban, and it's gotten to this point because it is so personal. Because if you really think about it, these guys have been together a long time. Now, Jimbo Fisher was under Nick Saban during the rise of Nick Saban, and that helped get Jimbo where he needed to be and where he is now. So their relationship has mostly been friendly. But at this point, to me, it's fractured. I just still cannot believe. I can believe what Jimbo said. I can believe that Jimbo said that. I'm not shocked that Jimbo said that. I'm shocked because Nick Saban makes very calculated moves. Yeah. There isn't a moment where Nick Saban's just going willy-nilly and I'm just going to say whatever. Nick Saban took a shot at not only A&M, he took a shot at Deion Sanders, who's at Aflac with him. That's a big deal. And Jackson State and really Miami's basketball program, talking about Isaiah Wong and that $400,000 to come back. I just feel like it has gotten to a point where it is so personal between these guys that he aired the dirty laundry. That's what shocked me the most, Danny.
Yeah, I'm with you. And it got personal. I mean, Jimbo, who I always thought, look, well aware of his history, was under Jimbo, under Saban, obviously at LSU, under Coach Bowden, my coach at Florida State. When he comes out today and he says there are some coaches you learn how to do the right things like Bobby Bowden, and there's some coaches you learn not how to do things the right way. And he said, why do you think I never went back and coached with him?
I know.
That's taking a shot below the belt. I mean, that's about as low as it gets. Yeah. And then what I can't understand is why Jimbo and any of them are like in such denial of we're not doing things when everyone's doing this now and no one has a real problem with it. Like everyone's, we're NIL, you can pay for play. I don't love it. I wish it was as it was supposed to be, which is if you had a Heisman Trophy winner like Bryce Young, he could make some money. Clearly, it has devolved to a place really quickly with less than a year where all of a sudden we're seeing it's pretty blatant pay for play. But everyone's doing it, so why not just admit it? Why not be, step up your game. Like, I'm surprised Jimbo didn't say, we dominated you. Good luck trying to catch us. I do wonder, so from Nick Saban's perspective, I do think there is an aspect of, I think he sees the shift in power because who's dominated recruiting the last 15 years? Alabama's been 1, 2, or 3 since Saban's got there. And now all of a sudden, Georgia's taken that mantle. And look, it's what happened. Georgia wins a national championship. Texas A&M this year is taking that mantle. Miami's starting to steal guys.
Look at USC, Danny. Look at
Absolutely.
USC.
So Nick Saban's stranglehold on the best, classes every single year is slipping. And I think that is where this comes from. You mentioned the calculated, comments. I think they're for a reason. I think he would love to kind of go back to the way it was, but you're not putting that genie back in the bottle.
No, you're not. And Blade, I'm going to get a question from the Booster Club with Danny too while we got him. When I'm looking at NIL, and I'm with you, I was all for it, but we didn't put guardrails on it. We let that out of the bag. You opened up Pandora's box, that and the transfer portal that came together to form this mega hurricane in college football. And now you just took away the 25 scholarship limit a year, which you had to because the way you're doing the transfer portal now. You were hanging the coaches out to dry. That's why we have some schools with 71 scholarships filled and 72 instead of the 85, which every coach wants a full ship. But Danny, you're exactly right. Saban had a stranglehold on it, and he taught Kirby how to do it. He gave the blueprint to a lot of guys. You look at Mario Cristobal and all these guys. But my thing is, like Cone said, Saban coming out and saying, I've never bought a player. You played college football a while ago. We all played college athletics. Everybody is buying everybody. You just started hearing about N.I.L. now. Jimbo Fisher even said that. And you got people now coming out of the woodwork saying, well, wait a minute, Coach Saban. You offered me $60,000 to go to Alabama. Why would you risk that when you know what you did and people know where the bodies are buried? Rush Probst right now is probably trying to knock down the door of the CIA building to put him in some ivory tower on some coast like they used to do during the Roman days and put guards and a moat around him.
Yeah, that's the thing that I'm most surprised about in all of this is that that's an emphatic statement. I've never bought a player. Now, I'm sure you get into the semantics of it. Nick Saban, in his mind, probably believes that. I've never personally been involved in buying a player. But there are people that are at an arm's length where there is plausible deniability.
Hey, that's exactly what we were saying. Yep.
Exactly. And that's who you're talking, like Rush Probst saying he needs an ivory tower. Like that's where, but do you really want to open that up? And I would say Nick Saban should not and would not. I mean, Travis Johnson, former Florida State player, was out, and I'm sure Billy Liucci will talk about it. I saw he found the tweet, which was awesome. He's saying, I was offered 6 figures to go to Alabama back in 2000, and I chose not to go. And he referenced a couple other players. And there are going to be more players that come out, whether they were at Alabama. Maybe there's a player that felt burned by Saban at some point. He's going to come out and admit it. Maybe there's somebody that was offered by multiple schools like Travis Johnson, and there was an offer there. I think this is just the tip of the iceberg of what we're going to start to hear from stories coming out of players and what they were offered and what they were paid.
Yeah, you could have a lot of Eric Ramsey situations like you did at Auburn that got them on probation with Terry Bowden. I don't know who's giving out more chargers, Alabama or Elon Musk. But, Cone, I know you got a lot of questions.
Well, Danny, I wish we could sit here and talk about what the best checks are when you get a 1-5 sky bark fire zone, but it's hard to talk the X's and O's when we don't have the macro issues are still really at play here. Now, I've been a long-time advocate of separating name, image, and likeness deals from pay-for-play, and that seems to work in theory, but not in practice, if the last year has shown us anything. What do you think the next 10 years of college football look? We all love college football. What do the next 10 years look like, and will the game be better a decade from now than it has been this previous decade?
I love that you asked me that question. On my radio show, I ask almost everybody. We had Joe Castiglione, the athletic director at Oklahoma, and I asked him that, 5 to 10 years, what is college football? Here's the scary thing. No one knows. Yeah. No one. And no one's I keep waiting for somebody to seize the opportunity, to seize the moment, say, here's where we're going. This is the way it's going to look. And let's go. And whoever's with us is with us, and whoever's not, you can go back and you can stay and try to fall in line with the NCAA. I don't think that group will be the NCAA. I think a separation is coming. And then is it the college football playoff? Is it Greg Sankey takes the bull by the horns and adds more teams to the SEC? Is it a new group, a new entity that rises to the occasion? And no one knows because they're all kind of scared right now legally what they're going to be required to do. Like, are we going to have to make our players employees? What does this NIL look like? So unfortunately, like in the near-term future, we're just kind of in this purgatory of who's going to do something, and no one knows. So I think it'll probably be spurned at the end of this playoff contract, which comes up in 25 or 26. So we've got a few more years left of that. After that, it's anybody's guess. And the hunch tells me there will be a super league. And even saying that, I don't know if it's 30 teams, 40 teams, or 64 teams. Like, is it the Power 5 breakoff? I think Power 5 makes the most sense, but is everyone down for that? I mean, the Big Ten still feels like they love the idea of amateurism, that they're going to try to figure this out and navigate through NIL, and maybe that pleases everybody, and they'll keep increasing stipends. But I think Greg Sankey's mindset is, we're probably going to have to pay our players soon, so let's just move to that minor league NFL model, and we'll figure it out that way. So even like within the power players here, there's disagreement of what the future looks like. So it's a horrible answer because I don't give you a definitive, but no one knows. Truly, no one knows. And because of the beautiful flaws of college football, there's not one person that can decide. There's not one conference that can decide. There's not one NCAA that can decide. It's a little bit of a mess right now, which I think is concerning, but somebody's got to see opportunity here and take advantage of it.
Well, there's more than one solution, I think, that could work, but none of them can work without leadership. I think you hit the nail on the head. There has to be a singular voice and leadership to get us back on.
So you're saying there's one ring to rule them all, and in
darkness shall bind them,
David.
That's exactly right. It's going to be Greg Sankey, but if I'm Greg Sankey, I'm like, I'll wait till the Super League.
Did he already say that? Did he say, I don't want that job?
Hey, I do blame Booster Club. Do we got before? I know you want to ask him a Florida State question, and Mike Norvell. We're going to get to that.
That's fine. We got a question here from Brendan Moore.
All right.
Danny, he wants to know your dark horse team this year to make the playoff.
Bishop Sycamore.
It's a good one.
Sycamore.
Dark horse team. I'll go. Man, have you seen? This is such a trendy play. I hate it because
do it. Just stop it, Danny.
All right, I'll go with the Texas Longhorns.
Ooh, Danny, I said the same thing the other day.
Did you guys see? They just came out. I saw an article the other day. They're going to be favored in every Big 12 game.
Wow. Really?
It's remarkable. And I think a lot of this hinges, and like Sark, obviously an offensive-minded guy. They've got Bijan Robinson returning, and a lot of this hinges on Quinn Ewers, right? If Quinn Ewers is the next big thing, and it was one throw. I was anti-Quinn Ewers hype.
During the spring, I know where you're going with this. I saw it too.
I am not a buy the hype type guy, but the spring game throw that he made was a wow factor throw. I was like, oh, maybe they are onto something. So I really, though, I hope we see those dark horse teams emerge. Like I don't think it's USC. I'm not buying into them just yet. It's hard to pick one, but I kind of like Texas. If they get it going, we've seen the Big 12 before. Teams come out of nowhere. Baylor was a 2-win team, goes back, changes things all the way around, gets the conference title game, wins it. So I think especially in that conference, the wide open nature of it, Oklahoma's got a bunch of turnover who's dominated. I would maybe even Oklahoma State. Like I would say the Big 12 to me feels the most wide open. And if these other conferences beat up each other, maybe Alabama, Georgia don't both get back, that could open the window for a Big 12 champion and say, why not Texas?
Yeah, Quinn Ewers, you just got to survive game one against Bama. Welcome to college, buddy. You get Alabama and Will Anderson.
It's early, though. It's early.
Yeah, that's where you want them. That's where you got to have Bama.
Last quarterback who left Ohio did pretty well.
He did pretty
good year.
Danny, I do blame you. You got another one? You want to go into the Florida State one out?
Oh, absolutely. Let's talk about these Seminoles real quick. All right, hey. Not the best year last year. 5-7, not the best. Had a couple good wins, but had a couple bad losses. Do you think Mike Norvell can right this ship? All right. If he doesn't, how long will it take before Deion Sanders is the head coach?
Yeah, that's a good. I'm a believer in Mike Norvell. I like him a lot. I know him personally. I watch him practice. I listen to his messaging to the team. I think he's got this program headed in the right direction. Was given a raw deal. His first year, it's COVID. Yeah. Last year, you might think I'm a homer. If they would have managed to beat Notre Dame in week 1, there's no way they start 0. There's no way they lose to Jacksonville State. Yeah. There's no way they kind of go off the rails, but they did go off the rails, right? It happened. A lot of programs, I was watching closely how the team responded to that rough start. They clawed their way back. They fought hard for them. They kept competing. I don't really care. I know a lot of people care about the wins and losses and the records. I care if you have the locker room's attention. And I still think Mike Norvell has that. All that being said, this is a massive year. You have to take a massive jump this year. The win total is 7.5. I think you have to go over that. It might be 7 on the number, but you've got to get 7 wins. I think you buy another year and it's dicey. 8 wins, I think you're good. Anything under that, there's going to be a massive clamoring for Deion. And in today's NIL world, and look how well he's done at Jackson State, there will be a significant portion of Seminole backers that will say, let's bring in Deion. And it would be hard to fault them for thinking that. So I think 7 wins is probably you're safe, but you're on a massive hot seat the following season. 8 wins, you're good, head in the right direction. And below that, watch out. Florida State's not in a great place financially in the athletic department, so I don't know if they can afford to cut ties with Mike Norvell again. And I've watched Miami do this. I've watched Florida do this. You don't want to get into a churn of coaches. You set the program back every time. It's like starting over a franchise. So I'm rooting for Mike Norvell. I believe in his messaging. I think he's the right guy. They've got to get improvement. And a lot of it has to do with recruiting. Like they need better NIL opportunity. They need more 4 and 5 stars. They need more players like Jermaine Johnson through the transfer portal that are NFL type players in order for them to compete with Clemson, and that looks like Miami's starting to build those. So it's definitely hard to be a Florida State fan right now, but I'm a believer in Mike Norvell and what he could possibly do. Now he's got to go do it.
I always say you can only sell hope for so long. Sure. I can only take you in the subdivision and show you the lot I'm going to build your house on until I have to build it and prove it to you. And that's something I know Florida State fans are ready to see. Miami's got a lot of momentum. We're here with Danny Kanell, CBS Sports, Sirius XM, the Cover 3 podcast. Danny, we've obviously got to do this a ton of times, especially during the season. I know we will. But I got to ask you, divisions and conferences. I'm so happy to see conferences do away with divisions. I've never been a fan of it. I love the 3 permanent rivals, basically round robin everywhere else, so everybody can play everybody home and away once in their career. The SEC, I think, is going to go to it once Texas and Oklahoma join, add that 9th conference game. Do you believe, because I 100% believe this, by taking away divisions, now if you're the SEC, because it's always going to benefit the top, the rules that are made. That's always the way I feel, whether it's sports, business, politics, or whatever. If you're the SEC, by taking away divisions, doesn't it increase your chances, at least right now in the scope of college football, of getting that 3rd team in the playoff? Because we all know what's the biggest excuse, unless you're Alabama. You didn't win your division. That's it. So now you're sitting there at the end at that 4 and you're 10-2, or somehow you get to 11-1, which can be a possibility with 2 other teams that didn't play each other until the SEC championship, playing each other. You could have a 3rd team from the SEC slip in the playoff.
Totally agree. And Texas A&M would like to have a word, right?
That's exactly right.
They were left out just on the outside looking in. They probably would have had that opportunity. I think this benefits everybody. I think I'm a big fan of common sense and everything, right? This to me is such a common sense move that makes the most sense to put the best foot forward for every conference that's going to go do this. I think the Big 12 plays the best schedule, but it's easier for them with only 10 games. As an ACC guy, we did away with divisions one time because of COVID. When Notre Dame was in there, what happened? 2 teams got in. You would never seen that when, Clemson's playing Duke or, one of the, a horrible team from the opposite division because that division was down. You've got a better opportunity to get 2, and in the SEC cases 3. So I think this is the best thing, and you'll get highly, highly entertaining conference championship games. I mean, think about the times Ohio State played Wisconsin. It was like, ooh, can Wisconsin put up a fight? And they get blown out 56-0, and opposed to getting a Penn State, a Michigan. I mean, Penn State was the year they won the Big Ten. I would have loved to seen a rematch with Ohio State. Would have been, to me, a more fair outcome at the end of the season. So I think this benefits all of college football and college football fans. Like, that to me is the biggest winner in all of this. We'll see much better conference championship games when it's all said and done.
I could not agree more. I agree 100%. Blaine, you got one from the Booch Club before we let Danny out of here?
Yeah, Danny, what's your thought on expanding the playoffs?
I'm all for it. It's interesting. I was always an 8-team, let's go to 8.
That's
because
me.
It really was, again, common sense. 5 Power 5, 3 wild cards. It just felt easy, and it felt like it could be massaged pretty quickly. We could make that move pretty fast. And then last year when, this committee that was hired and there was all these, 63 different options that they looked at for playoffs. And Sankey, Swarbrick, and Bob Bowlesby, ironically, was on this committee, probably wondering when they were going to tell him about moving to the SEC. But they had this idea, and they're like 12 teams. I was like, ooh, that's kind of nice. And I like that, with the top teams getting a bye, because I thought when they came up with the 12-team playoff, it directly answered the purists that love the regular season, because if you give home field advantage, if you give buys, you're still incentivized to compete games week 1 through 12 in the back end of the season, so that you can keep home field, or that you could earn a bye, which every team would like. So it preserved that. And I think from a standpoint of entertainment for the fans, I think the regular season would be enhanced, because think about how many more teams would be in the hunt in November.
At the end,
when really we're talking about 6 or 8 teams now, and maybe even less. It would be 12 to 14 teams we would be talking about with a legitimate chance to make the playoff. It's not going to change the outcome probably. Like Alabama's dominance isn't going anywhere. Georgia probably still be right there. Ohio's probably the same players, but I do think we might get a better Final Four. We might get an upset or two in the early round games, and I think everybody wins in that situation. And if there's a blowout, so what? Like the NFL, it happens in NFL playoffs every once in a while, but you also get some highly competitive games and some upsets. And I think it would add a lot of juice to college football if we went to that 12-team model.
Danny, I love the thought of expanding. I got to get you back on here. We do. And I'm going to give you my theory on how I think it can help parity in the long term, because there's no short-term solution. It's like trying to fix the economy in a short-term solution. That's not how it works, bud. So we're going to get you back on, man. I appreciate you coming on such a crazy day. CBS Sports HQ, the Cover 3 podcast, SiriusXM. Plug anything else, Danny. We know we're going to get you back on, man.
I mean, I should give out my Venmo. I got 3 daughters I got to put through college and weddings. So I'm trying to, that's why I have so many jobs.
Hey, listen, well, believe me, I've been in the gas pump too lately, man. College, the last thing I'm worried about right now.
Thanks for having me on, guys. This was a blast.
Hey, definitely, Danny. We'll do it again. Hey, we got Billy Liucci coming on the other side of it. We're going to talk some more college football, get your questions answered. If you want to watch or listen to the rest of the show, head over to thedailywire.com and become a member. Do it. Do it now, Bacardi and Cola. Or listen on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and share it with your friends, whether they're A&M, Bama, or even Oregon fans. They like it too. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. You caught me mid-sip. Yeah, you got me. I am going to say I'm going to be making my hockey fandom commitment at the end of the show today. It's in between the Preds and the Canes.
No.
A lot of crystal balls have been put in for me.
Preds.
You know, nobody knows where I'm going. Cone doesn't. Blaine doesn't.
It's in the bag.
We've got.
I know where he's going. He's going to the Predators.
It's in the bag.
Yeah, please tell everybody that. Tell everybody,
Actually,
especially after the way Canes
he
played
probably
last
would just switch it and flip it just to spite him at that point.
Well,
No, now he's going with
talk about NIL. We can talk about some NIL. Cone, before Billy Liucci gets in here, you want to do some rapid fire?
Hey, the PGA Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. Hit the button.
Hold on.
Hit it.
Nice. PGA Championship started today.
Yes.
Last time I checked, Rory was 5 under already. This is at Southern Hills in Tulsa. Who's your horse? Who you got?
Well, now that you told me Rory's 5 under, I'm going Rory.
Yeah, well, of course you can't pick him now that he's winning.
I haven't been able to watch any of it yet because today's been absolutely nuts. Rory'd be an easy one to pick. Where's Billy Horschel at right now?
I don't know.
I close my eyes and I just see Billy Horschel swinging like I'm using my ESPN to be able to tell that Billy Horschel is going to play well. So just give me Billy. I haven't even looked at the leaderboard. But if not
Cam
Billy,
Smith.
then I'm going to go Rory. Because why would I not?
How you feeling
Give me
over there?
Zalatoris.
Zalatoris?
Slick Willie?
Right now. Because I just saw you look at your computer before you said
Yeah,
that.
there's
It's right there.
some
Look at my computer.
collusion.
It's a beautiful picture
Yeah.
of people and houses. And
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
so much
And
collusion
foundations.
going on right here.
Give me Zalatoris, -4 right now.
Man, I actually have a...
Yeah, y'all get Rory and Zalatoris, who are -4.
I didn't say Rory. I said Cam Smith.
I said
What's he at right
Zalatoris.
now?
What is he at? I don't know.
Wait,
What's
is he at?
Zalatoris
Well,
at?
if he teed off.
-4? You just said
What?
It's 4 under.
He's 4 under?
You're going to be 6 feet under.
Give me
You know, watch
Zalatoris, then I'll take Zalatoris.
I have some Thursday trivia action, PGA edition, if you want.
out. You want to hit that before rapid fire before we get
tell
Silly
me,
Billy in
you tell
here?
me.
That's fine.
I mean,
Let's do trivia. Tell me the
We
trivia.
could do NHL.
No, tell me the trivia right now.
Okay. Trivia here. Arnold Palmer and Jordan Spieth are among 3 players missing the PGA Championship for the career Grand Slam. Who is that third player?
Who is the third player
Mm-hmm.
that didn't get the PGA Championship? That's
Won
one.
all the other majors.
That would be.
You want multiple choice?
Oh, what's his name?
Multiple choice?
Francis We Met.
Multiple choice. Davis Love III, Tom Watson, Phil Mickelson.
Tom Watson.
Davis Love III.
Tom Watson.
I am a genius. I haven't lost a
You're
trivia
just the luckiest
in a
guesser.
while.
You're the
in
luckiest
a while.
guesser
It's the
ever.
glasses,
You
buddy. Shout out Blue Box. The kid's here. Let me put these pistols away.
You know
real
what? No
quick.
more multiple choice for you.
Oh,
I'm gonna
Blaine's
give
just a
Jake
good
multiple
guesser.
choice, and you're just
No, I don't need.
Why,
I don't need
why
your
can I
crutch.
celebrate wins, David?
Huh?
That's fine. That's fine.
I don't need your crutch.
Here, give it to Jake. He needs it.
No, let's go rapid fire. No, I don't need it.
NHL.
Yes.
Who didn't score last night for the Flames and Oilers?
What was going on?
What
man?
happened?
First of all, I thought it was over. Like right when the game started. First of all, the Canes game went in the overtime, so we didn't get to watch the other game when it started. And I had the Oilers in that game. And he's like, game started. It's 1-0 Flames. It was like 5 seconds into.
They scored 2 goals in the first 25 seconds. As somebody who had the Flames money line, and we'll get into that later. And I know tomorrow's Flaming Dragon Fridays, but last night it was really Flaming Dragon. I do want to say this about the Flames Oilers game. Okay, you had the highest scoring postseason hockey game since 1993. All right, in which Calgary actually lost that. You got the Battle of Alberta. We got the Battle of Florida. We got the Battle of Alberta. It's a bunch of freaking showdowns right now in the NHL. And I told you guys, new NHL fan, this playoffs has been fantastic. There was a couple periods last night in the first game I'm never going to get to that was a little bit slow and a little bit ugly. They were filling each other out. But look, you got the hat trick there from Tkachuk, who's 100% witch. The Oilers, here's the thing that worries me if I'm the Oilers. You gave up those goals early, I get it. I know McDavid had a goal and 3 assists, and you played well. But the Flames are still missing their best defenseman, okay? And it's the second straight game, Tanev, that he's missed in the playoffs, and he's the dude on defense. So he's coming back eventually. And I know it's game 1 on the road, but if you're the Oilers, you just scored 6 goals and lost. Okay, you scored 6 goals and lost. You can't feel great about that, especially since they're going to be getting better on defense when Tanev comes back.
Put the bank on Edmonton game 2 on the road.
That's your
steal
theory?
1 on the road, yep.
You think they're definitely
That's your theory, isn't it?
No.
After you lost game 1.
If you're the home team.
Yeah, sure.
Which is going to be used tonight when we get to bets.
With
the theory.
Panthers. Okay.
That's exactly right.
Also, a word about the Hurricanes. The Hurricanes fought back and won that game last night. But Igor Shesterkin, I always pronounce his name wrong.
Yep.
I think it's Shesterkin. I understand now why he is a Hart Trophy finalist. Like, it's just unbelievable in goal.
Well, you look, what do all of these teams have in common that are still left? The goalies are pretty good.
Are great.
Bennington,
Oilers.
Igor.
Yeah,
I can go down the list of
Goalie got pulled early.
Well, again, for the Oilers, yeah, but it's not like he's been
Mike
horrible
Smith.
the whole time.
He's been D's.
Compared to Bennington and the rest of these guys, yeah, but Igor he's 100% stopper.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it. The first game, I know we're going to get to, obviously, needed it. Kane's late. Sebastian Aho gets the goal off the rebound. Then Ian Cole, Stanley Cup winner, been around the block, said he was looking for somebody to pass it to. Nobody was there, so he was like, oh, hell, I'll just throw it to the net. Ends up going in, and the Canes win one for the kid after I picked him late yesterday.
Big cover.
Woo, Sebastian Aho. Thanks for scoring at the end, buddy, because I watched that whole game, and y'all could not score at all. They had nothing going the first 2 periods. Finally, that third period, they kind of jumped them the first 10 minutes. But look, the Rangers played pretty good. The Rangers played a perfect game the first 2.5 periods. But that Canes home atmosphere, maybe a reason I pick them when I commit.
There's a couple we didn't get to this week. One, the Red Sox pitcher, Nathan Evaldi, gave up 5 homers in 1 inning the other day.
Yeah,
that sucks.
But they've been swinging the bats better. How you boys feeling about
what do you think, Glenn?
The Red Sox, their game today? Or
just how they're trending.
I think they'll get better throughout the year. I always believe the Red Sox will be good. They started extremely slow this year, which you not usually see from the Red Sox. But I feel like they're going to be a good team once it gets late in the season.
Listen, you gave up 5 tanks. I mean, the only place that's given up more tanks in the last month than the Red Sox is Russia over in Ukraine. They've lost more tanks than the Red Sox have given up. But that's the only people. Listen, when I'm looking at the AL East, and I gassed up the Blue Jays before, there's a long way to go. I think they're 20-18 now. I believe they lost last night at home against the Mariners. Great start, guys. I'm still not giving up on them. The Yankees right now, I think they're 28-9. I believe after beating the Orioles yesterday. Blaine brought up that they haven't played a team really that was over 500. But look, I think the Red Sox have the roster to be able to put up a fight as we go through down the stretch. But I'm telling you right now, still believe in the Rays, still believe in the Jays, and the Yanks are looking good. The Red Sox, again, is there a shift in the AL East? We said it at the beginning, but the way the Yankees look, not right now at least, but that's coming off saying the Rays won the division the last 2 years. So
Would you rather give up 5 home runs in 1 inning or 9 goals in a hockey game?
9 goals in a hockey game. Because
I
played
it's
baseball.
your fault. The home runs, that's your fault.
Yeah.
That's your fault.
You can't blame that on the defense.
No, look, the goal that the Canes won on last night, if you go back
That was on old boy.
and watch Igor, it clipped off a stick, bounced, threw off the eye line of the goalie and then bounced in the goal. Igor looks at the guy whose sticks it bounced off and then just drops his stick right there at him. If you go look, he was pissed.
You made
I'd be
one
pissed
mistake
too.
you can't make. Get out of the way.
Get
Get out of the way or block it.
I'd be pissed too. But no, let's. We got Billy Liucci's about to be in here in a second. But we got anything else?
Last one from last week that I didn't get to. Canelo Alvarez is no longer the #1 pound-for-pound boxer in the world after his loss. Terrence Crawford has climbed up into the #1 spot, which moves Errol Spence into #3. Can we make this fight already? Can we make this fight?
Why doesn't boxing do what's
Spence.
smart? Well, why doesn't boxing ever do what's smart? That's why nobody cares anymore.
That's
you
why
can
people
say,
watch UFC.
The popularity's rising and, it's getting cooler and cooler. No, BS. Make the fights that people want to see. You want to be relevant, do smart things to make yourself relevant.
And that's what
I've got no time for boxing.
UFC makes the fights people want to see.
Yes, Dana White, he gets it.
He gets it.
Dana White just gets it.
Dana White does get it.
Boxing's rigged.
I don't know. It needs to be to get more popular or something.
This stuff's rigged.
So what, you want to? I have another trivia question I could ask, or we have greatest documentaries we were going to do today.
Yes.
We also, what do you want?
You don't know your greatest documentary?
Your favorite documentary?
I'm telling you what mine is right now.
Okay, go ahead.
Unacknowledged. Dr. Stephen Greer?
That is great.
If you haven't seen Unacknowledged, you know I'm an aliens guy.
Okay.
I'm just telling you. I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens. And speaking of that, and speaking of Nick Saban and talking about digging up the past on Nick Saban, I found the perfect guy that can go to Nick Saban's past and find anything. This guy can find evidence of anything. Can we pull that clip up? Are we good to pull that clip up? Let's pull the clip up. Can everybody see it? It's Giorgio Tsoukalos from Ancient Aliens. I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's 100% aliens. You want to find Nick Saban's past? You want to find where the bodies are buried? Do you want to know if the Sumerians knew aliens? Giorgio Tsoukalos is your guy. Giorgio A. Tsoukalos. Let me make sure I'm 100%.
Is that the guy on the documentary?
That's him. No. Stephen Greer is the guy in the documentary. Okay. He's an actual scientist. Giorgio Tsoukalos is, I think, a guy that took too much LSD in his parents' basement and then saw what he thought was a spaceship and now runs with it. But according to ancient astronaut theorists, Nick Saban did pay players. Let's just make sure we say that.
Can I say last chance you?
Yeah, you can say last chance.
Then the only reason I'm saying that is because I'm on it.
Yeah, I know.
I'm
on it twice.
He's on it too, yeah.
Wait, I need to go back and watch it now.
Yeah, I'm on it.
Well, we have to do that. I have to go back and watch it. I'll tell you, the documentary that really shook me up the most was when I watched Free Solo, the Alex Honnold story, when he climbed El Capitan in Yosemite.
I think I've seen that. Yeah.
I mean, I knew what was going to happen at the end, and I'm still, like, my palms were sweaty. I was watching it with Darby Lou. My palms were sweaty. I was on the edge of my seat. That one shook me up.
That one was wild because they ended up.
Sometimes it gets wild.
I mean, just think about it. Everyone in the film crew, like, this guy you're really close with and friends with, like, he could die. Like, he could die today when you shoot this documentary. And I won't ruin the ending, though.
I'm not going to ruin that knowledge because you have to see it. All right, we're about to get Billy in here.
But it sounds like sounds like they found aliens, or else.
I'm not going to ruin it.
Okay.
It's unacknowledged.
All right.
So I'm not going to acknowledge it.
See, I tried to dig for some information.
You're not Giorgio A.
We saw what they come out with the other day.
You're not Giorgio A. Tsoukalos.
All right, hey, Big Game Boomer show says NC State.
Big Game Boomer, welcome back into the chat.
Big Game Boomer.
It must be getting close. It must be getting close to football.
Yes.
Says NC State is making the playoff this year.
He's had some bold takes the last few weeks.
That's a hot
take. Believe that. You really believe that.
NC State, man, I'll tell you what.
I'm gonna tell you right now. That game against East Carolina, game 1, no cakewalk. No cakewalk. They're gonna lose to Clemson. They're gonna lose at Clemson.
The boys from Greenville can play football.
But if you look at that schedule, they could legitimately go 10-2.
You talking about NC State?
NC State, hell yeah. Dave Doran. I don't believe NC State's as doggish as what everybody else thinks they are, but I think Dave Doran's got it cooking. I like Leary.
Fire helmets.
I like some of the weapons. What else we got from the Booster Club?
Our Jimbo Eagle. Jimbo's a big name today. Big name. All right, could you guys create a GoFundMe to help Vanderbilt get better recruiting to compete in the SEC?
Okay.
I'll see what we can do.
A word on Vandy real quick.
Oh, we'll see what we can do.
Since I'm the only guy who will stand up for Vandy. Back-to-back SEC champs now. Coach of the year. And just yesterday, they won regionals, which means they will be appearing in the national championship in a few weeks.
Really?
If Vandy wins the national championship and back-to-back SEC championships, I need you guys to wear Commodore jerseys.
Here's the thing. It's not about Vandy and the money. It's about Vandy and kids being able to get in there because every kid's not a Rhodes Scholar. It's tough for Vanderbilt to get the type guys that you need to be able to do the type things that Vandy fans want. That's why everybody says, what's the hardest job in college football? It's not Vandy because there's no expectations at Vandy. You can be bad, and that's okay. It's the White Goodman thing. I'm not okay, you're not okay, but that's okay.
That's why I don't think James Franklin gets enough credit.
Yeah, true
For
that.
what he did. Did they win 8
look,
games?
We have standards here in Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay.
As a longtime resident, we have standards here, Blaine.
Okay.
You know?
What are those?
High academic, like to be good at golf, good at baseball every now and then. And then you know what? We're going to show up and we're going to do the best we can at football.
The best we can?
The best we can.
Best we can? It's not good.
What else we have from Beach Club?
All right, we got Jimbo Eagle with one more. When will Nebraska ever become a national contender again?
Okay, here's what I want to say. I'm gonna put down the handy dandy notebook. Billy Liucci's about to be in here. We're getting over some technical difficulties. Technically, it was difficult. Let's just put it that way.
Makes sense.
Nebraska. Okay, Nebraska will not be relevant like they used to be ever again. You've got to get over that. If you're just asking for relevance and not dominance, I understand that. It's a possibility at Nebraska. But you will never dominate like you dominated again at Nebraska. It's just not going to happen. I'm sorry. It just, the game has gone past that. Scott Frost, I think this year can do something. But I hated when Nebraska went to the Big Ten. I still hate that Nebraska's in the Big Ten. They should be in the Big 12. It doesn't really make sense to me. I will still complain about it. And I believe we're good to go with Billy Liucci. Is that true?
They should be in the Big 12. I agree with that.
I think they should be in the Big 12, but they're not going to dominate like they used to. They're just
Scott
not.
Frost will win 9 games this year.
You think they'll win 9?
9 games.
You think they'll win 9?
Maybe even represent the, win the Big Ten West, play Michigan in the conference.
I can already see Scott Frost being fired.
I can
already being let go?
I can already see it in my head. Nebraska, you're not relevant.
Will Hugh Freeze be the head coach at Nebraska next season?
From a Frost to a Freeze. I told you guys that's a line, and if that happens, I'm making
ready
a
for
shirt.
that
You want to
show
leave
title.
Liberty, Hugh?
For sure. But Billy Liucci from Tex Ags. Billy, can you hear me?
I can hear you guys. Can you
There
hear
What's
me?
up, man? We must be getting closer to football season, dog.
Well, I mean, I'm on the plane flying from College Station to Chicago. All hell breaks loose. Luckily, I've got Wi-Fi, but apparently the flaps on the plane don't work, and we almost had to make a water landing.
Oh,
So that was fun.
that's
During
my
all
nightmare.
this,
That's my nightmare.
never happened. I've never heard of it. I mean, I've heard of it, but I've never been on a plane with it. And he was like, we're trying to land, but the plane's not cooperating. I go,
Oh, my God.
Over water?
Like what? Don't tell me that. There's stuff I need to know, and there's stuff I don't need to know. Just tell me, hey,
Exactly.
we're having a little bit of trouble with something that's not going to cost you your lives, I promise. I don't want a Sully situation or Denzel landing the plane upside
Nightmares.
down while he's
That's
drunk
what
on
nightmares
mimosas.
are made
He
of.
did do that, though.
That is
yeah,
nightmare
I didn't know what was going on, but I was so wrapped up in the Jimbo Saban beef and coming guys and getting on with my day that I was like, let's land this damn bird. But
That's exactly right. Well, Billy,
I found out a lot more.
Go ahead,
I
go
found
ahead.
out a lot more later than I wanted to know. I'll put it that way.
Well, Billy, listen, I want to give you the floor after what you heard from Saban at the event and Jimbo this morning. What is just straight off the cuff? How are you feeling over there in Aggie land?
First off, I think Jimbo and Jake, I saw you tweet a few weeks ago, and I got where you were coming from. Where it's like, well, Jimbo needs to just stop addressing it. And I agree. After because at the time with what Lane said, when another coach in your league starts saying that, it's just like, okay, man, it's like almost like a rap battle, right? When they put your name in that rap, it's like, I got to respond. And he did. And that was that, right? And it needed to just go away. Well, then when Nick Saban, who is, what is he, like he's the Jay-Z or the Biggie of when he says that, the way he came out and man, I'll be honest, just man to man, that's disrespect.
Yeah.
And it's blatant. And it's a holier than thou, ivory tower, like, we would never, he literally said, we didn't pay for one player. A&M paid for every single player. Those words came out of his mouth. He even said on their whole team. I just think for Jimbo, there comes a point in time where you're like, hey, I've tried to play nice on this thing. This guy's been on my nerves for a long time. I don't really like him anymore. And that's always kind of been a vibe that I've felt with that. And because of antics like this, and you heard it all come out, in my opinion, today. And Nick finally gave him a reason to take a blowtorch to it. And look, Greg Sankey's got to step in and sit down. All these guys say that's enough's enough. Now. The league, but he needed to give Jimbo his chance to get his pound of flesh, because what Nick did, I thought it was rat-like behavior. It was sour grapes. Look, man, you lost one football game to A&M in 9 years. You finally got beat by one of your assistants. I'm sorry that you got knocked over running off the field because the fans stormed the field. I'm sorry they bruised your arm and you complained about it, which I think that bruise was on his arm during the game if you carefully rewatch it. So I think we caught him in that little lie as well. But then you lose to Kirby Smart, your other former assistant. I know you would have beaten them probably with Jamison Williams, almost certainly with both of those receivers. I think they would have. I know he thinks they would have. So I know that's extra. That's sticking in his craw too. Then you don't land the number one recruiting class, and A&M does. And they break up your country club little party there. Here comes Jimbo in his boots and his cowboy hat and kicks in the door to your private club there.
He pulled a Cousin Eddie.
Cousin Eddie.
He pulled a Cousin Eddie. He showed up. Hey, Crapper's fault.
And he is lashing out as a result. And I'll be honest, guys. I have always had all the respect in the world for Nick Saban and Alabama football. They're the program I've rooted for, and I don't do it because SEC. Every year, if it's when I'm covering A&M, if it's not A&M, I don't get to cover something like that. I'm like, look, they're the alphas. I like to see alphas win. I root for Kobe Bryant, Derek Jeter, Tom Brady, Jordan. I just like seeing greatness, at work in sports because it's so hard to achieve. What I saw today was a guy that all I can say is, I saw a 70-year-old man acting like a really sore loser yesterday.
He looked human, Billy. Like it's the first time, and I said this in the open, for somebody that is the best ever at getting teams prepared and, like Cone said, limiting distractions and focusing on the process and not giving out rat poison, you just dumped the biggest dump truck full of rat poison onto Texas A&M's lawn. Now, A&M, look, it's going to be tough to beat Bama in Tuscaloosa after what happened last year. This isn't last year's team, even though I know, Calzada wasn't exactly Joe Montana, and that's going to bleed into Blaine's question as we kind of wrap up here. But, Billy, it's the first time I've ever seen Nick Saban not take his own advice, which to me, kind of like I think what you're hinting at, this is a lot more personal than what I think a lot of people understand.
I think he also knows he's coming up towards the end of the run. He wants. I heard this a long time ago, guys. When A&M first hired Jimbo, people I knew that were close to that Bama program said it was after Bama might have lost the title game. Like, is there anything we need to do? Is there anything we need to be worried about? Or is this just one game? He says it's one game, but the one thing we need to worry about is Jimbo Fisher and Texas A&M. Now they've got him with that, with that backing and that facility, and that was before NIL. So I think he's flustered. Look, Bama's the best team in the country this year. There's no doubt. So he also knew when to take that shot. He's going to they're going to be incredibly tough to beat. And I don't know which team is going to be more motivated now, but I think you certainly, this is one thing I'll say and get to Cone here is I think that has the potential to be a moment for Texas A&M, like a program defining for Jimbo there. Cool. Every Aggie right now is saying, that's our guy. Let's get shirts that say despicable on, that's our coach. And the players in that locker room, you guys know what that's like. What do you think those players are thinking today at Texas A&M about Jimbo Fisher?
Oh,
galvanize this football team. It'll be really interesting to see what happens on the field this year for the Aggies.
Blaine, I know you got a question about the quarterback situation at A&M while we got Billy on here.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little quarterback position, Bill. Who do you think, all right, I know it's been mixed up, but who do you think is going to be the starting quarterback for Texas A&M this year?
Okay, I'm going to say it like this. I think Connor Wigman is going to be special. Like, I think if he's your quarterback for multiple years with that recruiting class they've brought in, the talent they've got on campus now, that is a championship quarterback. He's special. And he's already got people thinking that.
Yeah.
The thing is, you got a guy that started an entire season in the SEC and did pretty good on a really bad offense. Bad line, no running game, best receiver out. And then you've got Haynes King, who, when he returned from a broken leg in bowl practices, was ripping it up in practice, those bowl practices prior to them canceling Wake Forest. He was looked better than he'd ever had. Spring game, none of them looked that great. Johnson did a lot with his wheels. If you made me pick today, I would still by about that much think Haynes, but the reality is this is a three-way quarterback battle, and it's a real one. It is. There's no, hey, let's keep this battle going so nobody transfers type of thing. It's a good situation to have. But my only thing with A&M being ranked so highly is they lost their whole D-line. Now they've got a bunch of 5-stars. People forget they got 2 5-stars that played sparingly last year that are ready, and they've got another one in McKinley Jackson who's going into year 3. So, but to have that and have a first-timer at quarterback, even if it's Max, he's the first time in your program, that scares me when you look at September, Miami, Mississippi State on the road, saw in Dallas. If they can get by that, they're going to be a handful for anybody, including Bama. I think September, the September scaries for A&M. If they can navigate that as whoever the QB is gets his feet under him, this could be a really, really good football team, maybe a year ahead of where everyone's kind of pointing and going, oh, boy.
Yeah, see, I got A&M really being dominant the year after this one. That's when I think it's going to be their year. That's typically how long it takes. But, Billy, number one, man, I know you're busy as hell. Today was crazy for you. Tex Ags, y'all are doing an unbelievable job. Nuno, all those guys over there. I appreciate you taking some time. And we got to do this a lot more, man. Football season's coming. You know what's up when it gets close to that time.
You guys are great, man. I've been enjoying watching the ride y'all are on. Just keep having fun like that. It's the most fun one for me to watch and listen to, guys.
Well, Billy, coming from you, man, who's built an empire, I really appreciate that, brother. I really do. We'll do this again soon, and let's see what Jimbo says next. And Nick says,
I'm loving this.
I am too. This. All right, brother.
All right,
be safe. See ya. Billy Liucci, one of our favorites. If you guys are new to the show on Crain and Company, Billy's been a guy that we've really leaned on in college football. Yeah, we can ask him later. Billy will tell you. I'll text him and ask him. But we do have some stuff to get to.
You're running away with it.
Let's go to the board of Saban's emotional problems.
How long?
Jimbo Fisher's emotional responses, and Life, Love, Liberty, and Levin.
How long is the speech you wrote?
We're not doing that, guys. I'm going to get up here and I'm going to tell you what my bets are. If you don't know, Cone and Blaine are going to try and make it seem like I'm way further ahead than what I am to try and jinx me. We're not going to fall for that. I'm not falling for the rat poison.
Where's the podium?
Why isn't the podium out there?
Because we're not ready yet, because it's still a fight. Every day's a fight.
Oh, okay.
Every day's a fight. Here's what I got tonight. We're going back to the theory. All right? We're 100% on this part of the theory. The theory is if you're the home team in a 7-game series, we got 2-2, 1-1-1. You lost the first one at home. You've got to win the second one. It's a must-win. Give me the Florida Panthers money line, -167. It's the theory. Pythagoras' theory was trash. Isaac Newton, most of his theories were trash. The Big Bang Theory, not trash. My theory, definitely not trash either. So, Florida Panthers money line, -167. Then give me the Avs in regulation. In regulation. Just don't come up snake eyes, dice. Give me the Avs money line in regulation at -143. We're at 16-14. We get to 18-14. Nothing's going to change. I'm going to wake up, brush my teeth, feed my animals, do my stretches, read the Bible, and then talk to my fiance. That's how it's going to happen. Cone, what lies are you telling me?
We've been walking in every day with a 0-0 mentality, and normally that gets the job done. but it hasn't been cutting it.
It's the page.
So we're walking in every day with an 0-5 mentality. We're
An
down
0-5 mentality?
Down 5, and we need to take drastic measures here. It's like when you're nearing the end of a boxing match and you know the other guy's won more rounds than you. It's either KO time or you're taking an L. All right, so it's time to KO, and we're going to start with Diamondbacks' first 5 money line going off at -105.
Okay.
And then I want the Avs and the Blues over 6.5 goals, and that one is going off at -125. We need to get back on track. Let's score some goals.
Play Nazium.
You hit that button for me?
Which one?
You know which one.
This is flaming vodka.
That's what I'm taking. I'm done playing around. I'm done playing around. Everyone's had their fun. Fun's over. I'm not missing another bet the entire month. So what I'm taking.
You're not missing another bet in the entire.
Did I
I'll
stutter?
take some of that.
Did I stutter? I'm not missing a bet for the rest of this month. So you know what that means. I'm going to miss both these bets today. But this is what I'm taking. I actually feel kind of good about these bets. Felt terrible about my bets yesterday. I'm taking the Avs -1.5 at home.
Oh, that's
You
it.
go back and you watch the Blues. They hit the post 6 times. I feel like they're a better team. And I'm going for one of those late games, open netter type of to seal the spread. And maybe that, or maybe they win by 3. Then I'm taking an alternate line in the Tampa Bay, all right, forward of the Panthers and Lightning game. Did I want to take the Lightning in this game straight up? Yeah. Do I think the Lightning's a better team? Yeah, I do. But I do feel like the Panthers have to win this game at home, or they're for sure getting swept. All right, so I'm taking Tampa Bay and Florida under 7, -170. I feel like the Lightning's defense is phenomenal. I don't see this game getting more than 6 goals in it.
4-2.
That's what I think.
Are you about to commit?
I'm going to commit.
Wait.
What?
Wait,
You
we
committed
have the
today?
commitment.
Committing.
Wow.
The commitment.
Wow.
Wait, where's the... Oh, okay.
As you guys know, it's been a battle. Preds, Canes, where's it going to go? It's been a hard choice. First off, I'd like to thank my parents for 32 years ago deciding to get it on and having me. I appreciate that, or I wouldn't be here. Again, I've talked to people from both communities. #take warning, #Preds. You know, we saw George Kittle at the Preds game. But when it came down to it, you know, a decision had to be made.
Better be yellow.
And I would like to announce my commitment as a hockey fan for the rest of my life. This isn't a 4-year decision, it's a 40-year decision, even though if I make it to 72, I'll be happy. I would like to announce my commitment. I'm staying home, guys.
I'm so
I'm
surprised.
I'm committing the Preds.
There we
Shout out
go.
the Preds. We're home. I'm home, guys. It just felt right when we were there looking at baby cake and all you guys. We won a free gift card because the section we sat in.
Who's the Predators' rivals?
Probably
All
the
of them.
Alien.
We're trying to beat everyone.
Probably Alien.
And we
Aliens
wouldn't mind
versus
box
Congrats on the
seats.
commitment, saying
Thanks. Thanks. Blackhawks. Okay, so I hate the Blackhawks now. I'm a Predators guy. So, Rhino, I know you're happy about this. Go tell all your friends. I know there's a lot of people in the Boost Club that are happy, some that are pissed. Canes fans, I'm sorry.
Should we do box
Well,
seats?
you know, my
Box
recruitment's open right now, and Kane, the Canes organization has been in touch with me.
Really?
The Canes have been in touch.
Do you think they passed up on me to get to you?
I'm not saying that. I think you're.
Is that what you're saying?
You're a great player.
Listen, you're a grown man. You
gonna
make
give
your
a
own
replacement code to
decisions.
kill you
But if you
yourself.
make the wrong decision, don't try and come to games with us next year.
Yeah, no. If you're, look,
I
You're not
won't.
coming to Preds games.
Legit-
Oh, I won't.
If you think
Trust
you're going
me.
to walk in
Then
there
there's
with
trust
the
me.
Canes
I
just
won't.
because it's sick, or you're
I
going to walk in
won't.
with a Calgary
he's not invited.
Flames
man.
jersey,
He's not invited.
watch your mouth.
I won't. I haven't made my decision yet, David.
You're using all these big words right now that I don't know what they're going to mean.
Could
So I'm
try to make
taking
fetch
this
work,
respect.
Gretchen.
All right, well, man, make sure you're subscribed. Shout out Danny Kanell and Billy Liucci. We got David Pollock on tomorrow. It's
We're getting back to him.
And then we got Matt Walsh on Saturday, who's a big Ravens fan. Dude knows ball. Couldn't believe it. Sweet baby coming on Saturday.
You can shoot.
But again, make sure you guys are following us on TikTok, all that stuff, live 2 to 3 Central. If you just found out about us today, you're welcome. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube. We appreciate you guys. And like me deciding whether I'm going to be Canes or Preds, the decision's in, and it's coming up all Ville, baby, Smashville. We're going, gone.